Hello and welcome to Cooking Your Way Through Life.
Today's episode is so that all of you can get to know all of my co-hosts that you'll hear coming up on my new episodes of Cooking Your Way Through Life.
Cooking Your Way Through Life is a podcast combining knowledge of the kitchen and applying it to real-life situations. This podcast is all about understanding techniques to make things you already know even better. Topics from traveling on a budget, setting and achieving short and long-term goals, and of course, cooking.
Okay, so today's episode is amazing because you get to hear from almost every co-host that will be on this first quarter or, a couple episodes coming out of Cooking Your Way Through Life, the podcast. But also it's like a game of telephone where they're asking a question to the next person and I have to tell the next co-host a question. So sit back, everybody.
Please welcome Chef Hollywood.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Cooking Your Way Through Life with me, Chef Hollywood. And today I did want to do something that has been a hit. Like ever since I started the podcast, this has been a really big hit. And that's when I do an episode with all the co-hosts that I have the privilege and the pleasure of having on the podcast. But I wanted to do something a little different since we're moving to YouTube. And thank you guys already for going over and subscribing to YouTube. Keep liking, subscribing, and sharing the YouTube page. We're trying to build it up. But since we're moving over there and changing a couple things around, I want to do a little intro episode as well. So we played a game of telephone where I ask the first co-host a question, and then they're going to ask another co-host a question, and so on and so forth, all the way back around to me again. So you hear me at the beginning and the end of this podcast episode. But I just wanted to do this and just have a little fun gathering. So without further ado, let's jump into the first co-host and the first question. All right, Warren. So I got another segment that I wanted to have, which is called Ask a Friend, where I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to answer it. And then I want you to ask a question. I'm going to ask the next co-host and they're going to answer it. We're going to keep it going and going and going and see, what happens. So my question for you, because I know we've been knowing each other for a long time. And we've been previously talking about growth and all that kind of stuff, but you're in a relationship now with someone I really like. I love Annette. One of my questions for you, is, as someone who has traveled so many places and done so many things in the past, is there a special spot or location that you would want to take Annette to that you've been to? Or is it a spot that's on your bucket list that you would want to explore with her that you have not explored yet?
This is a tough one. I really enjoyed a few parts of the world, and one of those was Australia, and loved Melbourne. Loved it to the point that I was like, I want to move there, and was quite lucky that when me and Annette started, we got into a relationship. She had done a bit of traveling, so she's been to South America and she's been to Asia, and always wanted to go to Australia but never had. So we actually went to Australia for an entire month and traveled around Australia. So I kind of got to do that. I would say in terms of places that I haven't been yet that are on my bucket list, we both would love to go to the Philippines. And I think that's something that you would probably also quite enjoy because we've worked, Annette's a physiotherapist, so she works in the NHS. And in the UK, we have a lot of Filipino nurses that come over and work over here. So she has known a lot of Filipinos. And we worked on cruise ships where a large percentage of the crew members are either Filipino or Indonesian. And they're all some of the nicest people and the best singers. Karaoke.
Yeah, for real. Everybody can sing so good.
So I've always thought it would be amazing to see where these people who I had genuinely some of the nicest people I've ever met in my whole entire life. I'd love to see where they come from. What is their growth point? How do they get to that, from that point to that point? And you see that by going to their country, and I'd love to go and just experience it, to be honest. So that's on my list, and I think it's also on Annette's list. We've spoke about it quite a lot.
All right, I like that. Okay, it's your turn. Tee up your question for our next co-host.
Okay, so whoever you may be, I don't actually know who you are, but my question to you is: so plants need two things to grow. So they need light and they need water. So, as a person, what do you think is your light and what is your water? What are the two things that you see on a daily basis, maybe over time, or what you think makes and helps you grow the most?
Wow. I like that. All right. On that note, I hope they have a good answer.
We'll soon find out.
What's up? All right, Warren. See you next time, bro.
Thanks for having me. See you later.
All right, Britt. Another addition to the podcast that we're doing an ask a friend or call a friend, where the previous co-host asked the next co-host a question, and you answer their question, and then you ask a different question to the next co-host. We're gonna keep this going for this quarter as well, to kind of have like a game of telephone, because I'm the person that's relating their question to you. So when we see it all together, maybe it's the right questions that I'm asking, or maybe it's not. We'll see. Your
Uh-oh.
question is from Warren, and he asked, plants thrive from water and sunlight, the two things that keep them growing. If you had
Mhm.
to describe two things that keep you growing as a person, whether it's two things that you do, yoga or something like that, or just like people or whatever, like what are the two things that you would say makes Brittany grow the way that plants grow, with water and sunlight?
Let's see. I think one that keeps me growing would be, I think like hmm, like a mental reset every now and then.
Hmm.
Just trying to clear your mind and get rid of like any negativity
Yeah,
that'll hold me back.
that sounds perfect as your sunlight, because you're taking away the darkness with the light. What would be your
Exactly.
water to give you the
With my
nutrients?
water, my family would be my water. Surrounding myself with them and being with them.
Nice. I think that's a good answer. See, you were nervous. It's all good.
I
It's
was.
good. Nice. Perfect. Now, for the next co host, what would you like to ask them? And it could be any question.
If you could learn anything, what would it be?
Ooh, I like that.
Yes.
Mm.
I think that's a good one.
All right. All right. See you next time.
All right.
All right, Grant. So I have a new segment that started as we migrating over to the YouTube space as well. And that is my unique game of telephone that we're doing, with each
Okay.
co-host is asking the next co-host a question. You don't know who's asking you a question. You don't know who's going to answer your question. So the previous, or one of the previous co-hosts, or one of the co-hosts is asking you a question. I'm going to go forward and forward. So your question is going to come from Brittany. And her question to you is, if you could learn anything, what would it be?
If I could learn anything, what would it be? I won't go philosophical on or mindful on this one. The one thing that I want to learn, and I still, listen, I'm only 34 years old. We still potentially could have another 60 years on this earth. Before I kick the bucket, I want to learn piano. I think
Oh,
piano is one of the coolest instruments ever. And I have to tell you, when a man plays piano, I think it's one of the most sexiest instruments. I forget the guitar. Get rid of that guitar. When a man sits at a piano and starts playing it, one is getting a little bit flustered. I'm like, is it hot in here? Turned up the
Oh my God.
thermostat. I think it's one of the most sexiest things ever. So yeah, I want to learn piano one day.
Heard that. All right. And John Legend, watch out, because Grant is watching. So
Chrissy, you better watch that.
All right, what is your question that you want to ask to the next co-host or
All
one of the
right,
other
so
co-hosts?
I'm gonna keep it musical based. If
Okay.
you could listen to one artist for the rest of your life, who would it be? You're not allowed any other artist, no band, no singer, nothing. You have to listen to only this artist for the rest of your life. Who would it be?
I really like that. All right. Well, we'll see who answers your question and what they say
All
coming
right.
up next. All right, Spencer. Have a new kind of thing that we're doing this round with the podcast. And I'm saying that it's like a ask a friend or ask a co-host, but it's kind of a unique game of telephone where I'm gonna ask you a question that the last co-host that was on asked. So they're asking you a question, you'll answer their question, and then you're gonna ask a question, but you don't know who you're asking it to, and they don't know who's what they're gonna say. So the question that is coming to you is from Grant, and he says, if you could listen to one artist forever, who would it be? That's the only person you can listen to.
Oh,
Well, I just saw Carbon Leaf in concert at the Tractor in Seattle, which was a small little venue. They were doing a small show before they went to a bigger venue the next day. And at the moment, I think Carbon Leaf checks all the boxes. They're like this alternative kind of Celtic influence band from the mid '90s, and they have so many different energies to their songs, and there's love, there's life, there's a good Irish jig every so often, and lately they've been keeping me going. So I'm gonna say Carbon Leaf.
All right, nice. And for you, what question would you like to ask to the next co host?
We've been talking about change, and I know it could be anywhere, but I think change is always a question. Like for your questions, it sparked a lot for me to think about. So I'd be curious for the person who I'm asking this to, if there was one thing about themselves, what would they change the most? And along with that, if there was something outside of themselves, because of course we can't always control what is changing around us, what would something around you be that you would want to change?
Okay, good question. Good question. I don't know who's going to get it, but we'll find out next time. All right, guys. So this time we're also doing something new, which I like to call the Call a Friend or Ask a Friend segment. And it's where it's a very unique game of telephone where the previous co-host is asking the next co-host a question. They don't know who they're asking a question to, and you don't know what the question is. And then you're going to ask a question to the next co-host. It's telephone because I am trying to make sure I ask the exact same question as it goes. So we'll see. So for you today, your question is from Spencer. And the question is there one thing about yourself that you could change? What would it be? And is it one thing about yourself that's like outside of yourself? So something that is within yourself that you could change, but then maybe something in your surroundings or like in your proximity that you could change. Because some things like we can't change, but it's a two-part question, which is great for the two of you because it's two of you, so it's perfect. But it's like something inside of you that you could change, and then something around you that you could change. What would it be?
something that I would change inside of me
Or about yourself?
or about myself.
Yeah.
Um, honestly,
No.
could I keep my hair for a little bit longer, if anything? That would actually be really great if I could keep my hair just a little bit longer.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and something that I would change outside of myself. Um, I do see steps outside. Um, and I'm hoping to be a part of it in the long run as well. But it's helping establish a better soccer scene within the U.S. as a whole. Um, and by soccer scene, I mean like the academy side. So like this
Mm-hmm.
pay to play fiasco. Parents have to pay like thousands of dollars for clubs that they're mainly looking for not just your business, but also looking for more so competition than it is actual development. So the kids aren't really getting the technical development um, that most of them would need at the age that they're playing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and pay to play is a rising contributor of that, and trying to help like change some of that by establishing an actual academy um, that will have like academy coaches and um, uh, teaching credentials. They normally start between like middle school through high school, um, and they're accredited through um, a professional soccer team that's also accredited through education as well. So it's mainly just like a boarding school for soccer kids. Um, and a couple of states have already started doing this. Um, I'm very interested to see what comes out from it. But I feel like it's a good step in towards trying to give more opportunities to underprivileged kids within the US that love the game, that are talented to be in the game, but just can't necessarily afford to be in these clubs.
Yeah.
And so they get left behind a bit. So if there's anything I want to change from that, it's definitely that.
All right. Lexi.
Mhm. I think for now, I'm trying to challenge myself in getting off social media. I know, like, in our generation, we are the generation of building up social media, like, since we were younger. And we now are so closure of being with, inside of the house, but also we're trying to figure out what's outside in the world, but not knowing like around your community. Um, I know for sure I'm challenging myself right now by not going on social media for 40 days.
Yeah.
Um, it's a hard challenge, but also I'm trying to get to know myself in a sense because in the past I've worked hard with my parents. I worked since like I was 13, so I always like help them with their food business and everything. But also I want to know myself, like, what can I do other than that? Other than helping people, other than, doing what's right for, other people's business, but also trying to know myself, like, what do I want to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of just relying on, oh, what people are saying in their other social media life, like what they're doing on their side of the world. So for myself, I know it's been a good challenge so far these
Mm,
past 2 days. I'm still going, and I'm knowing that my routine keeps on going smoothly in a sense because, like, even though I've worked in so many jobs and so many positions in graphic design and marketing, you slow down and you figure out, oh, there's stuff you can do, but also you have to know yourself like, oh, this is your moment, this is where you shine, but also you go out through the day, you wake up in the morning, you go to sleep at night.
Mm.
So that's what I'm trying to do in my life. And I actually like it. Like, not be on social media, not be on the phone. You just get up, do your routine,
mm-hmm.
and go on with your day. Um, and just go with what you go with the flow, to be honest. Um,
All
Nothing wrong
right,
with
guys. All right, nice, nice. I like both of those answers. I need for you to tee up the next co-host with your question, and it can be anything. What do you want to ask the next co-host?
Okay, but so then
what is your favorite part of your childhood that resembles you now?
I like that. What's your favorite part of their childhood that resembles them now to this day?
There you go.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. All right, OG, we're doing another segment this time around, I guess I should say. And
Order.
this quarter, look at you. See, I told you.
It's almost like
He
I done
ba-
been here. You know what
He
I'm
basically
saying?
works here, guys. Like it's
Yeah. Clean up man. Just
clean up, man.
with the broom, you know?
With this quarter, we hitting you with I would like to say a game of telephone a little bit. Ask your friend or call your friend, because the previous co-host is asking you a question. They don't know who they're asking a question to, and you don't know the question or anything. And then you're gonna say what question you want to ask to the next co-host after you answer the question. So
Okay.
this question comes to you from Jamal and Lexi, and it is: what is your favorite part of your childhood that resembles you right now or resonates with you right now?
I like that. I like that. And that's probably the best question to ask me, because if you know me for real, I'm just a big kid anyway. Like,
Yes.
I think this is a perfect question, honestly. I think it's so much stuff that resonates from my childhood that I still kind of identify with now. Like just having how would I say it? Like just having I still have a really optimistic outlook on life, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And a lot of people can't say that. But also I feel like it's tied to, once again, like my career. Like I'm living the dream of my childhood. Like I literally said as a kid, I wanted to do like, and actually if I'm going to be even more specific, I talk about this a lot of times too. Like my career turned out the way it has because I wasn't specific enough. But I'm so glad that I wasn't, because I grew up playing drums. You know, I had aspirations to want to be singing and doing music and stuff like that. But I always just said, man, when I grow up, I just want to do music. I just want to do music. I never said I wanted to grow up and be a drummer and go on tour and play all over the world. I never said I want to be a producer that's got millions of streams on records and things like that. But it's like, I'm glad I didn't say one thing specifically, because I've been able to do all of this stuff within the confines of my dream. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so I think that's probably what I could say I like resonate with the most from being a kid. Just like keeping my dreams alive, and also just like I said, just the sheer amount of fun I had as a kid. I feel like I still have that now. Like, I mean, you
Yeah.
know, we adults, so bills aren't fun. You know, we pay them and we get it done. But hey, whatever. But like, I mean, just every day, like, man, like whether it's, you know, just relaxing, jumping on the game, you know what I'm saying, watching a
Mhm.
TV show. Like, I still watch SpongeBob all the time. That's my dog. He's actually my co-producer. SpongeBob usually gonna be on in the studio when I'm working. So just little stuff like that, I'll say, like, it all resonates well with my childhood, and like even to this day.
Nice, nice. I thought you liked that one.
Yeah, that was a great one.
All right, OG, I need you to ask the next co-host your question.
Okay, here we go. We finna cook. Simple
All right,
question,
all
but
right.
always important. If today was your last day, what? It's actually kind of a two-part question. What
Okay.
would you want to spend that day doing? And not that it's like a situation where you like got terminally ill or nothing, but like if you just literally knew, like, hey, this is my last day here. How do you spend that last day? And what is it that, because you know, at the end of the day, when we get out of here, like that's it. It's final. But it's like, how would you truly want to be remembered after you've left here?
I like that. All right. We'll see who answers that question next time.
Yes, sir.
All right, so Ayla, something else we added into this quarter is going to be the unique game of telephone, where I'm going to relay the last question. And I like to call this a ask a friend or ask a co-host, because the previous co-host asked a question, going to ask you that question, and you're going to ask another question for the next co-host. So
Okay.
the last co-host, or the question you're answering, is from OG. And OG said, if today was your last day on Earth, what would you do? Like, how would you spend it? And this is not like if you were sick or anything, but like you just knew it was your last day. And in addition to that, how would you want to be remembered?
So my last day, I would definitely want to spend it with my kids and my girlfriend because right now, they the world. So I want to spend that just hanging out with them, doing whatever it is they want to do, having like a yes day. And I just want to be remembered for making people laugh and making them feel good. I'm here for the good vibes. So if I've been in your life and I made a difference in your life, that's what I want to be remembered for. Because I can honestly say there's not an ex that don't want me back.
Amen. All right. What is going to be your question for our next co-host?
My question is, how do you keep the desire alive when life gets heavy?
All right. Let's figure out what they have to say to that. Coming up next. Well, our next segment is new to the podcast, but I like to call this a game of telephone, if you will, because I am telling you the question that the previous co-host asked. So it's kind of like ask a friend, ask a co-host, where the last co-host asks you a question, you're going to answer it, and then you're going to ask a question for the next co-host. And no one knows what you're asking, what you're answering. And this is like kind of a way for you guys to get to know each other after the fact. So when you're going to listen to this back, of course.
It's fantastic. I love it. I love the idea. It's genius.
Nice. I can't take all the credit. Me and Warren came up with it together. So shout out to Warren because,
Shout out Warren. I knew you for like 2 weeks. You were so cool. Yeah, we would have been best friends. Fine.
For your question, Paul, your question comes from Ayla. And Ayla asks, how do you keep the desire alive when life gets heavy?
So I think there's two sides to this coin. The positive side of this is that, how do I keep with this? I mean, for me, it's not a question of how do I keep with it, because my nature, I'm very, not only am I curious, but like there's a part of me that when I find something interesting, I will lock on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you just take a hold of it and you don't let go. And I've not found that, again, you look back through your life, you can kind of see patterns. You start to recognize things like, oh, here was music, here was the clarinet, here was soccer, and then here was, here's wine. You know what I mean? And so you start to notice these these traits within yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, how do I keep going? I mean, I find this endlessly entertaining. And it doesn't feel like I have to keep going. It's always there for me. Now, when you get down, when you get hard, like when you really get into the rut, I mean, I think I can speak a little bit on that because, there's, you can feel like you're at the bottom, right? You've hit rock bottom, but really you actually just kind of hit a ledge on the way down.
Yeah.
It's not really rock bottom. You just kind of hit the wall, you bounced off, and now you're bouncing. So, you don't always know where rock bottom is. But getting out of that, I mean, honestly, the best thing is to go talk to someone. Like if you're really feeling down, if you're really feeling like lost and confused, go get some help. I did. It completely changed my mindset on so many things. And not only that, but it gave me the tools where, should I go back? I mean, maybe there's probably still a few things that could use some help on. But I do honestly felt like I was also given the tools to help address things that come up later in life, and to help me to recognize patterns that I fall into, stop those patterns. And, again, that's just all about taking care of yourself. And, taking care of yourself mentally and emotionally falls into that.
100%.
And I know it's not easy. Man, the first time I really opened up, man, I broke down, and I was like, where's all this coming from? Like this, I didn't know this was all here. But it is honestly helpful. Like find someone, and don't just settle on someone. If I was going to tell you something, find someone, shop around. Like this is America. There's a bunch of options. Like that's our whole stick. There's a bunch of options. Find someone you like, find someone you trust. Because it's not going to be easy, and it's not easy. But I do think it's worth it. And I think it's helped me immeasurably. I don't think I could be here again doing this without that. Because I was in a bad cycle, and you know, you either break it or you don't. So I hope you break it and go get help if you need it. So I think that's damn, that's a good question. I haven't even thought about it. I've been so wrapped up in our conversation. I haven't
It's
even thought
okay.
about
It's okay.
what
It's
a
a
good
good
question.
question. It's a good answer, bro. Nice, nice. Now for you,
Man,
what are you gonna ask the next co-host?
how would you want to be described? No, if you could be described in 3 words, what would those words be? Yeah,
All right.
that's what I got.
All right, T. So I got a new segment that started right now. So we're gonna be calling this the game of telephone. Ask a co-host or call a co-host. And it is because the previous co-host asked a question to you. You're gonna answer it, and then you're gonna ask a question to the next co-host.
Okay.
So previously on Cooking Your Way Through Life. This question comes from Paul, and it is, if you could be described in 3 words, what would they be?
Ooh. 3?
3 words.
That's hard. Okay, I'm gonna say connector, loyal. I don't want to say kind because that's a little bland, but ambitious. Those are my 3.
Okay. I like that. I like that.
You
Let me
want me to
take a
expand
step.
upon them?
I would say, yeah, take a little
Yeah.
time. Like, let me know
Okay.
some of it, because I want to know.
So connector, I feel like my purpose is to connect people. So I feel like I'm always the advocate for my friends. Like I'm always gonna hype up my friends. So I feel like connector, that's my purpose. Because I'm always connecting people from different walks of life. My customers, they always come to me for everything from hairstylists. I'm selling them a house, but they ask me for hairstylists, nail techs, everything. One of my clients actually asked me for a mariachi band recommendation.
Oh, wow.
And guess what? I knew one. So yeah, that's connector. And then the second one I said was loyal.
Loyal.
When I find someone that I like, or in business relationships or whatever, I'm always very loyal to people. So I've been going to the same hairstylist, nail techs, and everything for probably the last 5-7 years since I've been off the ship. And so that's my loyalty. I'm very big on loyalty because I feel like it takes you far. And then the last one, ambitious. I do whatever my heart desires. Whatever lays on my heart, I know I can do it. And I don't feel like I have any limitations. So if I decide that I want to go sell popcorn on the street, I'm gonna sell the best popcorn on the street
Hey.
there is. So I feel like anything I set my mind to, I'm gonna accomplish it, for one. But I don't have any fear of going for anything I want.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So for you, what is the question that you want to ask the next co-host?
Okay, so my question for you is, what decade would you want to live in and why?
All right. Sounds good. Find out what they say next time.
Thank you.
All right, Patrick, new thing for going forward is what I like to call the game of telephone, or ask a co-host, call a co-host.
Okay.
And it is the last co-host is asking you a question, and you're going to answer it. Then you're going to ask a question to the next co-host, and we'll see what they say.
Oh, man.
So no one knows what's coming.
Okay.
So your question is from Tinesha, and she says, what decade would you choose to live in and why?
Man, I want, you know what? I want a redo on the 90s. Right? Like I grew up in the 90s, so it's like I was too young to really appreciate it, you know? I want to go back as an adult
in the 90s.
Yeah, in the 90s, maybe make some better like style choices Make some better style choices, and I'd have the means and the money to maybe go to a Tupac concert.
Man, oh, that is true.
You know, there's the 90s is a very glamorized and well thought about decade, especially from us older millennials, right? But if you think about it, we were all kids,
We
right?
were
So
kids. Like,
I
I'm a
never,
90s baby, really. Like,
yeah,
not even.
I never got to experience it as an adult, So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely the 90s. I would love to relive the 90s as my current self.
Right. I like that. All right. So, what is your question for the next co-host?
Ooh. What particular type of cuisine have you not tried or are fearful of, and why? And would you be willing to take a chance on trying it?
All right. We will find out what the next co-host says next time.
Perfect.
All right. So, Matt, something I added in this time is what I'm like to say a game of telephone where I'm telling you the last co-host question, but it's kind of like ask the co-host or call your friend, because the previous co-host is asking you a question. You're going to answer that question, then you're going to ask the next co-host a question. So your question comes from Chef Patrick, who was on, and his question is, what particular type of cuisine have you been fearful of trying, and would you try it in the future?
Oh, that's a great question. Fearful of trying. Hmm. What type of cuisine have I been fearful of trying? I would say I don't think I've had an authentic Indian meal. And I think I'm fearful because I heard how spicy they can be. And I like the spice. I like a little bit of kick, but I feel like there's a look in some people's face when they say spicy that concerns me and makes me feel like it's not the kind of spicy I might be expecting. So I think that's what I'm most fearful. I think that's a dish I'm probably most fearful of. I haven't tried it yet. I am afraid to, and I'm not afraid to admit that. So yeah, great question. Indian food.
All right. So would you try it in the future then? Now that you've acknowledged that you...
If I had a bucket of water and the family and friends, somebody who's been there before. I need a bucket of water and somebody who's had it before. Yeah, I think I'd try it.
All right. Pro tip though, when you do it, get milk or coconut milk, because the water's not going to help you. So
milk or coconut.
You need dairy, bro. You need. I give you that tip so you know.
Good point. Appreciate that. Bucket of milk and an experienced partner to help me knock it out.
There you go. All right. Well, for you, what is the question that you're going to ask the next co-host?
Okay. Oh, I would ask the next co-host, what is your idea of success?
All right. Find out what the next co-host says to the question coming up next. All right, so we have a new segment that is called, I like to call it a little game of telephone, but it's kind of like ask a co-host or phone a co-host, where a co-host is going to ask you a question and you're going to answer their question, and then you're going to ask your question for the next co-host. These are questions that can be all different questions, and trust me, they have been all different questions. So we're going to get into the question asked to you by Matt. And Matt wants to know, what is your idea of success?
Matt, My idea of success is sitting back and feeling like you accomplish your goals for yourself. I think that oftentimes people set goals for other people. People set goals to tell other people that they have goals. And I think like what success may look like to me and for me, it may not look like what you want my success to look like. It may not be where you want me to go. But if I'm content with what I set myself out to do and I was successful in that, I'm content and I'm not requiring anyone else's input in determining how my life goes, I consider it a success.
Nice. All right. So for you, what is the question that you want to ask the next co-host?
I'd like to ask the next co-host if they were able to choose a career of any kind without any kind of consideration for pay, what would they choose to be and why?
Ooh. We'll find out on the next episode what that co-host says. And surprise, 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 it's me. I'm the last co-host. So I did that because I am doing episodes by myself, as well as with these amazing people who I had the privilege of having on my podcast. So I wanted to finish this episode out answering the last question. So I know it's going to sound cheesy, and I'm sorry, guys. But first off, I want to say, I love my career. I really do. OG's answer to his question really hit home for me personally. I don't know how the rest of you feel out there, but I do kind of feel like I'm living up my childhood dreams a little bit with traveling around the world and cooking and just like doing that. And even now, just like going into another space like with YouTube and things, like I guess ultimately, like just being able to pick my career, I would love to host a TV show, like Anthony Bourdain style, where I get to travel around the world. I get to do it from a perspective of a young black kid from a small town in Georgia who never thought he would leave, who ended up getting college degrees and traveling, and now seeing like 80 plus countries around the world and like kind of shining a light on how I like dive into different cultures and like I really do kind of cook my way through life or eat my way through life or like I would just love that. Yeah. And it wouldn't even have to be like not to become a celebrity or anything like that. I would just love that that would be my job and I would actually get paid to do that. Um so yeah, that would probably be it. And I think I would say that because it's just like it would be the ultimate childhood dream, I think. Like one that I didn't even like I knew I wanted it, but like dang, it really happened. So that would be it. All right, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this game of telephone. I kept calling it telephone because I legit thought that I was going to mess up asking the next person the question from the previous co-host. And I know I could have written it down, but I was like, why? It wouldn't make it as fun. So I think I did a pretty good job, listening back. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoy hearing the co-host answers. And I hope it gets you a little excited about the episodes that they're going to be on. I want to do this to kind of get a little introduction and kind of like hey, who's going to be on some of these episodes? So I am so excited about these new episodes. As OG also said, this quarter of episodes is coming out because we're just going to be consistent, guys. I'm trying to be consistent out here. Don't forget, we are now live on YouTube. Thank you so much for everybody who's already subscribed. Make sure you are subscribing, liking, and sharing the channel. This podcast will also be on YouTube as well as any other spots you listen to podcasts, of course. But yeah, and also the theme song drops tomorrow. Yes, this podcast will, yeah. So by the time this podcast comes out, the theme song will be out the next day. You can already pre-save it you can go to my Instagram or Facebook. I have the links on there, and then you'll be able to use it in your videos and maybe start little cooking trends. I don't know, like do whatever you want, but I appreciate everything. Love you guys, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the episodes coming out. Have a good one.
Thank you for listening to Cooking Your Way Through Life with Chef Hollywood.